Today's episode of In the Trenches is brought to you by System 12 Guitar Method. Sign up today at RyanRoxie.com.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie. I'm your host, Ryan Roxie. What is happening, everybody? It's been a few weeks since we've had a show, but you know what? That's what might happen in the next couple months because, you know, Alice Cooper is getting ready to go on tour, so we can't do it each and every week. But you know what? The weeks we do it in the live stream, and we do a live stream like this, I'm so happy that you guys show up. You show up in our live chat. You show up on the at Ryan Roxie official YouTube channel. We might be streaming. You might be listening to this on, it might be Spotify. It might be Facebook. It might be Apple, iTunes. Thank you so much for everything. But what we really want you to do is subscribe right now. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe right there. It really helps us get us eyeballs onto the episodes, and that's what we want to do. How have you guys all been? I'm excited about today's show because it's Alice Cooper Alumni Day. You know how much I love those. And it's also St. Patrick's Day. I'm wearing a little bit of green somewhere. There it is. My R for Life rock and roll hat. Thank you very much. There is some green somewhere in my shirt. Well, a little bit more about the shirt later. But our guest has some green backstage. I can see that. I can see he's going to show it pretty soon. But let's talk about our guest. I always love it when we have the guest and I have walked sort of in the same shoes, or the guest has deep ties to the In the Trenches family, because don't think that we're not a family. No doubts. This is a family in the trenches. The similarities also run deep with our guest today. For instance, we were both born and raised in the same area, the Bay Area. In fact, we both played in some of the same bands. Never played together in a band, but we both played in the same bands. I'll get into that as well. We both moved to Europe. And guess what? As we tape this right now, we are both in Europe. One at the north, one at the south. But guess what? We're both here. And thank you very much for listening wherever you are in the world. But now we both find ourselves talking in depth for the first time, virtually, face to face. So would you please welcome into the trenches guitarist and Northern California native, Stef Burns. Hello.
Hello.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I had to do this. And you can't just hold a green lamp, but check it out. I'm wearing it.
Oh, is it wireless? Is it on?
No, it's plugged in, but the thing is, well, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it because it's.
You really got to appreciate that Vasco.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it, but the story's done. So
that's Vasco money, man. That's Vasco production, Vasco money right there. Oh man, so many bands that we get to talk about today. Obviously, the one that we have most in common is we both play. You've played, and I play guitar in the Alice Cooper band. So we have a deep sort of. Do you feel it? Do you feel the Alice Cooper family is sort of like a mafioso type of thing, being that you are from Italy right now?
What does that mean exactly? Like, you know.
Well, once
like
you're in, you're always kind of in the family.
Well, once you play with, you know, any kind of big artist like that, then you become associated with them, or you say, okay, he played with him, or he plays with him. But and it was great, you know. I got to play with Glenn, with Vasco.
Yeah, Glenn Sobel, current drummer of Alice Cooper, who I will be seeing in a couple of weeks.
For 13 years, like how long have you been playing with Alice now?
I've joined Alice pretty much right after you stopped playing with Alice, because you were all over I joined in 96. So
that was it. That was the tour. 96 was the tour that Vasco. Oh man, that's 91.
Okay.
Picture, yeah.
But that, yeah, and that's where we had a common guitar player together. That's Mr. Pete Friesen there, all shirtless and looking amazing. Him
He was
with
like the Elvis Presley of heavy metal, kind of,
well, Pete Friesen and his famous ass ferret. Don't ask the story. Don't ask the story about the ass ferret, because if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm talking basically right after the Last Temptation, you got that amazing opportunity with Vasco, and then that's where I sort of came in right after that. And I played with a lot of the same musicians. Greg Smith over the years. We both played with Greg Smith. Again, I said the great Pete Friesen, and as of course Eric Singer. So all this is leading us, before we get right up to date with the Alice Cooper stuff, and of course the newest project that you have, which is Heroes and Monsters. And we do have a lot of friends that are in common with that. Todd Kerns, who's been on the podcast as well.
Okay, and so Todd says hi, and I'm going to break in here too and say, and Matt Logg says hi.
Oh, Matt Logg, who we both. How many people have we played in bands with together? But we've never played together, because Matt Logg and I played in Slash's Snake Pit together. Obviously, you and Matt Logg played with Vasco as well. Any other?
It's still in Vasco's band now.
This is
Matt's been playing with Vasco since we're talking about Vasco Rossi, for those of you who are not Italian. There he is. Matt's been playing since 2007. And for 3 years, we had Will Hunt also with Vasco, 2014, 15, and 16. And then Matt came back. So Matt's really been there since 2007.
Matt Logg is one of the coolest drummers of all time. Yep.
Happy birthday, Matt!
Is it his birthday today? Yeah. Matt is St. Patrick. He's Saint Matt Logg. He is a saint. He is pretty much a patron saint. Just ask, Johnny Grapark. Just ask any of the guys that we played with in Slash's Snake Pit. This is so crazy how incestuous it goes. And all of this has to do with going back to get forward. So that's the way we like to start the show. What do you say, Vic Chalfant? We have hit the ground running. Our special guest today is guitarist Stef Burns from, I can't just say one band because there's so many bands, but to go back to get forward, I want to talk about growing up in the Bay Area, because you were born, it says.
Oh, man, look at that. Yeah, I'll take you down, man. I'll take that. Rifle is powerful right there.
You were born in Oakland, California, where I wanted to be born because I'm such a huge Oakland Raider fan, but I was actually born in Sacramento. Oh, wow. Vic had to go the close up on it,
Yeah.
I love
Cute
it.
kid right there. You see the size of those ears on that kid? Jesus, got like Dumbo going on there.
Better to hear you with. So, and then to make, you could say Oakland, but you grew up in the Bay Area. And when I tell people the Bay Area, a lot of people don't really know, because I was born and raised in Pleasanton, or, sort of grew up in Pleasanton, California. You grew up in Walnut Creek.
Right.
So the thing about it is that in Walnut Creek,
make sure we're going.
That's what, did you freeze over there? Are we good?
Yeah, I did. Second. We're back on.
Okay. No worries. Yeah, you're fine. Okay. I can hear you just good. We never lost you. But you grew up in Kaiser Permanente. You know what? Does everybody hear my wife talking on the phone in the other room? I swear to God, I can hear her louder than I can almost hear you, Steph. Yo, Bianca, can you please close the door? I'm trying to do a podcast. Yeah. That's the way it is, folks, here. It's professional. But Kaiser Permanente was my hospital. That's right in Walnut Creek.
Right.
So were you part of that whole world as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were a Kaiser family, growing up, and that was our hospital. We went to Kaiser. I started going to Kaiser Walnut Creek, born in Kaiser, Oakland, because we lived in Berkeley. And there's me and my little brother I just saw there. And we, all the things like the co-op, 29 cents a gallon, you get gas at the co-op. And then there was Gemco in Walnut Creek where you had to have a little card. That's me and my sisters right there. Oh, by the way, June 74, not correct. That is absolutely 1969.
Okay. Wow. Good memory of that.
Yeah, there's no way that I was 15 there. I was like 10.
Well, what was the first guitar then that you had? Oh, there you go. That's when you started filling it in.
After my braces, so my buck teeth were pushed back in. I started to look, what a handsome kid.
My daughter just got her braces off today.
Hey.
And she sent me a bunch of pictures of it. She looks amazing. Natasha Grace, you look awesome. But she's had braces on for like so many years. All throughout high school, she's had braces on. So this is the first day that she got her braces off. So I know that feeling because I had them too. Now they're just, God, they don't look so white here. Yours look very nice and white, nice and polished.
I'm using the white filter.
Good filter. Yeah. Really good filter. I'm also using the yellow teeth filter, apparently. Sorry, guys. And honestly, if you're listening to this on the Apple Podcast or Spotify, you can't see the beauty of my yellow teeth. Just tune in to at Ryan Roxie Official and hit that subscribe button because we'll thank you so much for it. What was the first guitar? Was it because the similarities again are running so deep between us, Steph? Was it a Strat?
No, not yet. I actually got into Strats later. So I first had this Winston guitar. I don't know where. My dad got it from a catalog somewhere or maybe at the local store, But then we wanted sort of a real guitar. And I heard about, I'd tell like a Fender or a Gibson or something. Well, he found me a Fender, but it was a Mustang because I was still like 11 years old. But this Mustang was turned out to be a badass guitar, and I'm still looking for it. So it was a blue sparkle one, which I probably should have kept it as it was, but I didn't like that blue sparkle. It was tacky to me. So we scraped it off with my dad and we sanded it down to wood. Then there was this gal who I was crazy about in 8th grade. So I had the guitar for a few years. She painted on it a big dragon with big wings, a naked chick with black hair going around there and big boobs.
Wow.
And
very detailed for 8th grade. Very detailed.
A big humbucking pickup in the back. So I routed that sucker out and I slapped the humbucking in it. And
you had an HSS. That's it. My friends, that is an HSS for his first guitar.
Check it out. It's an HS.
Oh, just one. So no middle pickup.
No, because the Mustangs don't have a middle pickup.
You know what? I was thinking of my Strat, and we both had this. I got rid of my Strat too early as well, and I've been looking for it ever since. That's why I play this thing called the Never Say Never Strat, because it's the same sort of off-white cream Hendrix type of Strat. It had the silver bullet. You have one of those as well?
That's what I'm playing. That was mine since 91. Because I started with Alice. I have that 1991 that the custom shop made, and it's kind of got really yellow and beat up, and it was an HSS.
Nice. But you don't have the one that has a silver bullet.
No,
the silver bullet is the thing that came out right across the net, right from, it's like the truss rod. It was a silver bullet truss rod. It looked like it was, that's what they call a silver bullet. And he used to always say, is this pre-CBS or this is CBS? I think mine was definitely CBS because it had the big 70s. Oh my God, look at your guitar collection.
Oh, look at that. What a neat thing.
And those.
So that one, that's kind of the beat up yellowish Strat. That's my number one, the custom shop one.
The one on the right or the one on the left?
Or the one in the second to the right on top.
Okay, in the middle. That's the HSS. Yeah, because it has a humbucker.
The right to it, the white one. I just wanted to have another one like it, so I kind of made one out of different parts. They made the neck for me at Fender, but I just slapped it on a regular body. And then there's that Kramer, man. I had that Kramer before Alice. I've changed it over the years. Still has the Floyd on it, and then I doctored it up a little bit. I got one of my early pictures from my daughter stuck on there.
How many daughters do you have?
One daughter and 2 sons and a grandson.
Wow. Congratulations.
3 weeks old. Thank you, bud.
Very good. Very cool. So you're in the Bay Area. Did you play there? Look at that. Very sensitive shots. That is Vic Chalfant, our producer, combing the internet. He's like,
oh man,
he's like Chat 5 PT. He will like comb the internet. He'll scrape the internet for all these photos. And again, folks, if you are just listening to the podcast, you're only getting half of it because you get to see my yellow teeth and pictures of Steph Burns' grandchildren if you watch us on the @Ryan Roxie official YouTube channel. So let me ask you this. Bay Area, did you play the clubs up there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, all over. We played a lot in Walnut Creek and Concord and Pleasant Hill and stuff like that. But then there were a lot more clubs to play in the South Bay. So the place to go was Campbell and the Smoky Mountain Saloon and the Bodega and the place called the Sly Fox. Where was that? Oh man.
That's graduation shot. That's a graduation shot. I can see that right there.
I'm 17, just making it. That I wanted that mustache so bad. It just like when it started to come out.
I still do. It won't grow up on the sides, I don't think. Let me ask you this: the stage in Danville. Did you ever play a gig there?
I don't think so.
Wow, because for me, you had to drive through Danville, past Danville to get to Walnut Creek. So that was my sort of gig. And then I was lucky enough to do a couple shows, in the city with Keystone Berkeley, Stone, and Keystone Palo Alto. Did you play those Stone club as well?
That was a little bit more for original bands, and okay.
So you were doing
cover bands. Yeah. We did a lot of, we were playing a lot with a band called Omega, which had Mickey Thomas in it for a while, but then he went right after he was with Elvin Bishop, and he went off on his own. But we still did some originals, but we ended up to try to work more, of course, doing
and of course, you're talking about the great Mickey Thomas from Jefferson Starship.
Yeah, and then
to this day is still rocking and rolling,
still rocking out there. Yeah, but so we played more of those other places. We played the Albatross in Santa Cruz. We played the Catalyst in Santa Cruz. And then there was a place called the Rio in Rodeo. It was a big theater. That was always fun too.
Damn, man. So when was it that you remember getting into your first original band, or of all those Bay Area bands? Because you have to understand, we grew up in the same time. I'm just a couple years, perhaps maybe the next class under of you. So I remember Greg Kihn band, Eric Martin band, Pablo Cruz, of course. When did that magic? Because as you can see, and this is not just
look at that! You got the Pablo Cruz t-shirt. That rocks, dude.
Yeah, dude. I really can't fit into it, but as my wife pointed out right before I went to the show, when I tried to go put it on. But the thing is, you have to know that I silk screened this myself in Los Angeles like about 20 something years ago, just because I loved the logo so much, and I couldn't find a Pablo Cruz wife beater, because this is one of one. This is a Pablo Cruz wife beater that Ryan Roxie used to fit in and look good in, but right now it's a little tight. I'm not going to lie to you, but this man that I'm talking to right now, Stef Burns, was in that band, Pablo Cruz. How did it? You got to find your place in the sun.
I did. I found my place in the sun, and we were getting high. But besides that, we were. I was playing with Omega. That was that band, and then I got the call to play with Jesse Colin Young. That was around 1981, and then Jesse Colin Young. From there, I started to get heard a little bit, and so that's luckily I started to get the calls for some of it. And Pablo Cruz came after that, and
there you go. Look at that.
Oh, and I'd already shaved my mustache off. There's another Pablo Cruz picture with the mustache, but Corey never had one. Hey, that's John Pierce on the far left, plays with Toto now, and was in Huey Lewis in the News for a lot of years.
I love it. I remember the keyboard player was named Corey, I believe.
That's Corey, yeah, upper right now. Yeah.
On AM
I saw Dave just last August, and we jammed together. He's still singing his butt off and plays great, and he lives in Nashville and goes back between Nashville and Stinson Beach. He's doing great.
You have to understand that all these Northern California bands that you were a part of, Huey Lewis, Pablo Cruz, you know, friends and bros with Joe Satriani. I mean, did you know Joe when he was playing around the Bay Area in the squares?
No, I knew him after that.
Okay.
I knew him after that, and I met him through through just bumping into each other at a few places. God, what a beast he is! And we have a real good mutual friend, which was his drummer, Jeff Campitelli. I played with Jeff a lot. And but Joe and I were not really close friends, but we always had. He was just super kind, and he's the one that got me into Alice Cooper's band.
Yeah, he gave you the go ahead. So I definitely,
I owe him a lot.
He's a bro enough to help another bro out.
Yeah, I love that, man. He threw my name in there and said, "Yeah, check this guy out," and it worked out great.
One of these other, I don't know. Well, she is sort of NorCal influence as well. Obviously famous for playing with Prince, but got your start in your movie career, which is, it's a pretty illustrious movie career. You've been in some pretty damn big movies. The one I'm talking about is, of course, with Sheila E, and this is Crush Groove. How about that?
She's all Bay Area, man. She's Oakland, California, the whole way. You know?
Her father was a very famous percussionist as well, right?
That's right, Pete Escobedo, and her whole family is super talented. Peter Michael Escobedo also was a band leader on one of those TV shows, and they had a great band. But Sheila also played with George Duke and Lionel Richie and George Benson and just tons of gigs. She was in Ringo Starr's all-star band for a while too. Yeah, she's amazing.
Well, I mean, we all know her as a percussionist of Prince. Are you in that picture somewhere?
Yeah, if you can find me, man.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say you are as I'm looking at the picture, far left. No. Are you in the red hat? Are you in the red hat?
Nope, that would be Cat Gray. On the far right, next to Cat is Eddie M. Then on the far right is Sheila's brother Juan Escobedo. Then there's Sheila E next to him. Then the beautiful one in the middle, that's Susie Davis. Then the next one in the red is me.
Holy crap! You got center stage in that. That's amazing. I did not. There it is. Can someone please? Where's your zoom when you need that, Vic? That's the shot I want the zoom on. What are you talking about? He'll trust me. He'll get it in the next 60 seconds. He's good.
I know. Coming in 3, 2,
1. But then you go Crush Groove. You do the movie. You do the album. You play with her. What was it like playing with Sheila?
Oh, it was amazing. It was so amazing. I mean, we had long rehearsals and everything was choreographed. So it was kind of like we called it the fitness tour. I mean, it was insane. We were just, had to get our protein in and drink a lot of water. And then we toured with Prince on the Purple Rain tour for a year. And it was a thrill of a lifetime. That was 1984. That was my biggest gig.
I saw you. I believe I saw you. Did you play the LA Forum in 1984 on the Purple Rain tour?
Absolutely, we did.
I saw you, Steph Burns. That's amazing. I thank you to some unnamed stripper that actually bought the tickets, because I don't remember her name, but damn it, I remember what she did for a living at that point. And everybody's got to make a buck, and she needed someone to sort of go with to the show, and I got to see the Prince Purple Rain tour.
All of the Prince fans who was, Madonna was also a big deal at that point too, coming to the shows dressed only in lingerie.
Yeah.
And that was quite lovely.
Well, you went from basically you being in lingerie with all the Prince styling of clothes to playing with another amazing artist, great vocalist, great performer that wore a lot of lingerie and a lot of sexual innuendos. You ended up being in the band Berlin.
Oh, funny. I thought you were going to say Alice Cooper. No, I'm just kidding.
It's true. Alice too.
I've been dragged a few times. Yeah. Berlin. That was a lot of fun. And they're so great, man. Rob Brill see, that's the tune. Yeah. That was the tune that they had it out. They had already recorded that with Moroder before. That was a great tour.
Giorgio Giorgio Moroder, who was one of those, such a distinctual producer. You can hear his stuff all over the place. The minute you hear it, you kind of go, okay, those really nice synth lines and stuff. Pretty much, believe the whole soundtrack to Scarface was Giorgio Moroder.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
I believe that there was a lot of Blondie was produced by Giorgio Moroder as well. But come on, what about the timing? You Take My Breath Away. That's the band's biggest song. But then you also, because again, the similarities run deep here with Roxie and Burns. I was in Berlin for a short time as well. So I know the SEX choreography. That goes with it. Because were you the chosen one that she would do the playing off of the sex?
No, we didn't do any bits, any skits or anything, or any that after Sheila E. I think it was nothing until Alice with his sword. Hey, stay there while I run the sword, so the fake blood will come out. No, it wasn't fake. He really cuts
your arm every night. People don't realize that Alice Cooper gets his head cut off every night, and then his assistant, whether it's Renfeld or the late great Brian Nelson, or now currently the amazing Kyler Clark, he has to sew it on back every night.
They're really good. I mean, you have to be a surgeon, an expert surgeon, to be Alice Cooper's assistant,
or a really good seamstress. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Now that looks like one of those like photos that Vic just like photoshopped and spliced together real quick to make.
No, but it was funny because I went to see Alice when he was coming through Milan doing some promo stuff, and I just said, "Hey, can we do a selfie?" And he's like, "What is that?" And so he's like, "Where do I look?" So he has this look on his face, like, well, "Where am I supposed to do?" Oh, I'll just snap it. Don't worry.
You know what? Go put that picture up one more time, Vic. This is the post that pretty much everyone does when it's Alice Cooper's birthday. Happy birthday, Alice Cooper. Here's a picture of me.
Right, yeah. I took a selfie with him, so I wish him happy birthday.
All right. So we're moving on because, again, there's too many bands that I want to hail you on and that you've been in, because they're bands that were the soundtrack of my youth as well. Another great band, and people are out there listening to it right now and want to check it out after the podcast, not now. Don't go searching to it right now, but wait till after you hear us and me and Stef Burns, a guitarist here on In the Trenches podcast, talk about it. I'm talking about Y&T, Yesterday and Today. Dave Medichetti, one of the greatest guitarist vocalists that I know of. There you are with, again, another drummer that we've played with in the family, in the Alice Cooper family, Jimmy DeGrasso. And you talk about locals, Phil Kennemore. My first job I ever had was with Phil Kennemore's niece, so it was one of those, I knew Phil Kennemore, he's like a Livermore, Pleasanton legend.
That's right. Yeah. Andrew, Livermore, Pleasanton. Yeah.
So what was playing with Y&T like?
Incredible. Another incredible, because honestly, all the bands that I played with before were either pop or R&B and soul. And I always liked hard rock music, but I only would do it sometimes on my own. So when I got the job with Y&T, that was like, okay, now's a chance to play. I had a Mesa Boogie at that time, but that was my excuse to buy a Marshall, and my first Marshall was Y&T. So, and it was the whole idea about, it was an incredible learning experience, because to understand what it's like to play heavy eighth notes locked in with a bass and drum, and what that feels like and what that means, that was my learning of that. That you can just go and wow, that is like, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it. I mean, I love fusion, I love jazz, I love blues, but that was
so it kind of honed your chops on rhythm guitar and you realized just how important rhythm guitar is.
Exactly it. And it served me, because also there's a lot of bands after that, Alice Cooper for one, and Vasco Rossi, both of them hired me because they needed a good rhythm guitar player, and he could play solos too. I became a little bit. I got to do more solos, especially with the live situation, even on the album with Alice and stuff. But
well, that's the one thing I want to talk to you about with your Alice, because we're edging towards that. I know we're doing a little bit of a compact history, because we only have a certain amount of time on In the Trenches. I'd love to spend, 4 hours as Rogan would, but guess what? It's Friday night here somewhere in the North Pole, and my wife and I are gonna, enjoy our Friday night. But guess what? I'm enjoying right now talking all these things, all things Steph Burns, and we're just now hitting upon the time in the call where you get into the Alice Cooper band. And again, it was a guy that you say maybe you're not super close with at this point, but at the same time, he was the one that sort of gave you the good word. Joe Satriani gets a call from Alice Cooper and said he's looking for a guitar player for his new album. And then he says, well, why don't you check out this guy, Stef Burns? And then all of a sudden you're playing on one of the biggest Alice Cooper records of that 80s era. Because I always kind of break Alice into the eras. It's the classic original band.
Sure.
It's the 80s era. It's the Kane Roberts era. It's the bands, the albums that we made with him that were a little bit more industrial, the Brutal Planet and Dragon Town. Right. There's the Garage, sort of Eyes of Alice Cooper out. So you can break, in a lot of ways, I say you can break Alice Cooper up in the same way that of an artist like Madonna, where she goes through a lot of different changes, Yeah.
I kind of see these like this Alice Cooper period was kind of like Trash and Hey Stupid.
Yes. 2 albums. Yeah.
Yeah. And both had those similarities where they had lots of guest artists on them, and they were real polished, hard rock sound, coming off of, what was happening on the radio right then with Whitesnake and Aerosmith and things like that. That was knocking everybody out. Everybody wanted to have the next Still of the Night, the next Whitesnake at that point.
Yeah.
And then everything, by the time Hey Stupid came out, as you saw, everything was changing, and Nirvana came and changed everything, ruined it for a lot of people, but made things better for most of us.
No doubt.
Beautiful 90s came along. And then that's when we made, I wasn't on Trash, but Hey Stupid was, I think, the continuation. And then they changed directions and went to The Last Temptation.
Yeah. And that was one of the questions that, again, another one of our contributors to the podcast. We really appreciate his contribution. Federica, you met earlier before the show. She's did a lot of great promo on today's episode, as well as helped out a lot with the script. I always love to give credit where credit is due. So thank you very much, Federica. And thank you, Vincenzo.
Sempre un piacere, sei bravissima.
They were talking to Bessimo. They're talking a lot of Italian before the show, and I didn't understand a word. But Joey, who's very German, doesn't understand Italian either. But he had a great question about this Last Temptation era. He said, on the Alice Cooper Last Temptation, you were credited as the only guitar player for most of the songs. But on several of the songs, there are layers of 3 separate guitars playing. How do you remember composing and the recording experience of this album?
Oh, wow.
You can tell it's not a question from me, because I'm just like not going, how was it cool to be in that band? But it's actually a technical question about musical parts.
Oh yeah. Well, often these albums are made in 2 different ways. One is you got your demo, and the demo already has different guitar parts that are already laid on there, and you have to learn them and adapt to that. The other thing is you go in the studio, and on a few tunes, like I remember a tune by Chris Cornell was called Stolen Prayer. And we kind of had the producers on that record were really cool, and they let us have some space. We got to create parts, and I played with both Derek Sherinian and Greg Smith on that record, and Dave Usikinen did the drums on that record. And we got to create parts, and we sang backgrounds, we made harmonies. So it felt more like a band project, and that was really, really lucky about that one.
Derek Sherinian is one of the best keyboard players in the world. You can just ask him that. That's what he would say.
You hear that, Derek? No, he'll tell you. Say, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
No, I mean, between Derek, you had a lot of You got a lot of haymakers in that lineup, I think, to deal with on a daily basis on touring wise, to deal with Eric Singer and Derek Sherinian, the little twins. The little twins.
They had a lot of names. Heckle and Jekyll were some of their nicknames.
That's what it was.
They definitely were ship stirrers. So
I'm no stranger to the Derek Sherinian. Well, he's actually Nicky Lemons. I only know him as Nicky Lemons in a band that we played in called Glam Nation. So yeah,
how did I miss that?
Oh man, you missed a really good version of a band that played nothing but early 70s glam songs, which would be everything from Bowie, T-Rex, The Sweet,
great.
Even some Alice Cooper as well. But yeah, we had Eric Singer was the drummer and Derek Sherinian was the keyboard player, the first version of it. And of course, the great Eric Dover on lead vocals and co-guitar with myself. And of course we had Yashia, otherwise known as Stefan Adika. So there you go. Just a little quick history of Glam Nation. But you know what? Enough about me, more about me. No, it's Eric Sherinian. I am Ryan Roxie. You're listening to the In the Trenches podcast. We are here with guitarist Stef Burns, and we are going through a little bit of what his history is. But guess what?
He says he played guitar on Last Temptation.
I played guitar on Last Temptation. Bobby G. That's your boy, Bobby G. So there you go. There must have been a lot of.
I thought I played all the guitars on that record. Bobby, what did you play?
No, we have an online spat. This is the beauty of live streaming, is that we can get. So Bobby G.
I played all the guitar on that record.
Hey, it's good enough for me. Good enough for me and my Bobby G. Bobby G. What are you? Okay, so Bobby G.
Maybe he's pulling our strings, or maybe I'm just really putting my.
Maybe he did play. Maybe he had some guest players come on, because I know that on the Hey Stupid album, the list of like guest guitar players that you had, Steve Vai / Vinnie Moore, Joe Satriani, Mick Mars, Nikki Sixx playing on that. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I mean, you're
okay, Bobby. Thank you,
Bobby G.
We believe you, man.
It's so Bobby G. We should have seen that coming, dude.
From the name, Bobby G played on Alice Cooper's Last Temptation.
Well, guess what, folks? We have reached a little bit of the halfway point. It's time, I hope, for us to have a quick commercial, because I've been doing this thing, Steph, lately on my old Instagram, and we're going to obviously get to the point where everybody follows everybody's social media. I think you are at Stef Burns Professional or at Stef Official. Yeah, at Stef Burns Official. There quickly take a screenshot, folks, if you're watching at home. Get all of Stef's. We'll put them up again. We'll put up all your socials.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter. There was a Twitter thing on there, but I'm not on Twitter. I don't have much to say, really. I just show a picture.
I've got too much to say on that. That's why I have a podcast and a radio show, and I try to post up as much as I can on my Instagram. But I've been doing this new project called Enjoy the Riff. And so I think we have a quick commercial about this. And this might have been the commercials from before we put it out. But now it's out there, folks, so you can check out the world's most iconic riffs taught in about a minute or a minute and a half. Vic, why don't you just run the commercial now? Talk over this. It's not just music. Go check out Roxie's Enjoy the Riff on Ryan Roxie Instagram or TikTok or at Ryan Roxie Official on the YouTube. The best place, RyanRoxie.com. How about that? That was quick. Now we're back. All right. So welcome back, Steph Burns, guitarist. That was a little commercial break that we have, but it kind of usually signifies, us coming from the past now a little bit more into the present, because currently what you've been doing is you've been playing now for a good many years with one of the biggest artists in Italy. It's maybe the biggest, would you say?
Well, I think he is. It's certainly as far as live, and maybe there's other artists that tour more and tour around the world. Some Mazzotti and stuff, but Vasco is the biggest in Italy for sure.
So Vasco Rossi, for those of you that might not know, but you probably do, he plays bigger venues. I believe the legend goes that the Rolling Stones asked if they could open for him at a show in Italy. Is that the way it is true?
I'm not sure.
Even if it's not true, let's just say it is. And I'm actually drinking Voss water. It should be actually Vasco, but I'm drinking it a little bit in tribute today and I know that you're drinking something as well. There you go. I'm
drinking some apple juice.
Well, we're doing product placement. I want to thank the good people over at Brig 19, because not only do I have Vasco water, this is some Car Jam beer that helped us out today. There you go.
Yeah, you got to send me a thing of that. It's only 4.5. It's a pills, so it's probably a nice, tasty, kind of something that'll go good with food.
It is. And speaking of food, Italy, let's dive back into Vasco, because how did that whole gig come around? Because it's right out of Alice Cooper, or right around the time that I joined Alice, and I think it was right around that 95, 96 era, right?
Yeah. What happened was, it was, so I go back to give thanks to Joe Satriani, because he got me on the Alice Cooper record, 91. Look at those young guys. Now there is when people started cutting our hair, at least me and Derek did. So this is on 94.
That's amazing. So that's great. But wait a second. The guy, who was that next in the green? That is
Ricky something. He was filming a video. That's a video photo. He didn't do any gigs with us. He shot maybe Lost in America video shoot. That's probably what that is, off of Last Destination. And
I think you guys did your all lips. I think either they did that thing where they photoshopped your lips a little bit more pink, or you guys were all taking a lot of vitamins.
We might have been sweating after the video, or I think it's just something happened.
So I guess Vasco hears "Hey Stupid," and he's caught with love.
Vasco and his producer Guido Elmi hear "Hey Stupid." They're looking at it because it's attracting so much attention with all of these superstar guitar players on there, and Ozzy Osbourne and Nikki Sixx not on guitar, adding to that. So, and they're listening to all these guitar players, listening to all these great solos, and then they hear me on there, and they're hearing the rhythm tracks. Again, solid rhythm track. The key to working in this business is not to be a flashy shredder, but to play rock solid rhythm. And they said,
great advice, actually. Great advice. And
absolutely. And then they heard the solos, and I thought, this guy's good. Let's have him come over and record. So I went to LA and I recorded a couple of songs on that album. Then they asked me to go, that was 93. 94, they asked me to come and do a 94, I don't know if anything happened. I'm still playing with Alice, MYNT. 95, they brought me to Italy and
your debut.
Big debut show. But then it was just an event that year. So it was kind of like a tryout thing. And then starting from 96, I was speaking with Toby Mamis, who was Alice Cooper's manager, as you know.
Still is, yeah.
Hey, Toby, what's up? And he was telling me about how many gigs they had. And at that point, I'm thinking, how many gigs? Well, they weren't working a lot. Alice was, we got about 6 in November, and then we got a weekend in December. So we got about 9 to 12 shows. Okay, Vasco, how many you got? We're doing 42 arenas throughout Italy. And so I was like, I gotta go to Italy. I gotta go to Italy. And and it was a beautiful opportunity, and I loved it. And I hated saying goodbye to Alice, but I loved my new life, and it became an Italian life.
You are my Joe Satriani.
And so with
if it wasn't for you honestly saying that, you know what, I'm going to do this Vasco gig, the door wouldn't have opened for me to come in. So thank you, Steph Burns, for in part opening the door for me to get into Alice Cooper. Wow. This is something that could only happen on a live stream. Because again, we've said hello before. I believe, we said, hey, what's happening? We've met at a couple shows or a festival here or there, but we've never had an in-depth talk. And honestly, now I see the way things work out in the timeline. You are partially responsible. It's not Bobby from Mates who's taken all the credit for me getting into Alice Cooper for so many years. No, Bobby. That shady, slim shady character from Mates Rehearsal has taken all the credit all these years, and it actually was you, Steph. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm happy to have helped.
It was always you. So then you're able to, do Vasco for years. And then, here's the thing, folks. I do have a little bit of a script, but when I look at all these albums that you've played on, it's insane. And then I look at all the other artists. So while you're with Vasco, you're also playing on a ton of different sessions. So did that help you? Did you sort of become known as a session guitar player at that point, or what was it that led to all these calls coming in with all these different artists?
A little bit. I mean, I never went to LA, so I never got into the LA scene, even though I always wanted to. I always thought about it, and one of my heroes is Steve Lukather, the greatest session guy of all time, and then, made one of the greatest bands of all time. Oh man, look at that. I did that. I just said Steve Lukather, and there's Lukey right there. I mean,
that's Vic Chalfant, folks. And you know what? I don't give enough credit to Vic. Actually, I do. I give way too much credit a lot of times. No, everyone knows. I should have give Vic some more stage time. He's my Robin. He's my Robin, but he comes up with photos even way quicker than Robin ever could. I don't think, that would mean I'm Howard Stern. That would mean you're, who would you be? You'd be Robin, or you'd be Howard Stern's favorite guest. You're Sam Kinison. There you go. That's why I know we come from the same era. So, between this all, you start doing your own solo stuff as well.
But a couple of things about sessions was that I being in the Bay Area, started working with Narada Michael Walden, and Narada was producing a lot of big acts. I never played on a Whitney record, or I never played on Aretha Franklin or Mariah Carey or any records like that. But I did play on a lot of things like I played on a Bob Dylan record actually once. No, wait a minute, hold on. We did a Bob Dylan song by, holy cow, Temptations. So some of these older bands were coming up, and I was doing some records with Narada. And Narada, I got him to play on, he wrote some songs, the album by Jeff Beck called oh my God, how could I ever forget the name of it? After Blow by Blow. Yeah. Look at it. 1986. I remember Jeff in his Nile Rodgers period.
Emotionally Yours was the Temptation song that you played on.
That's the one, Emotionally Yours.
Yeah.
And there was a Bob Dylan song, something in there. Maybe I don't know if that was he was co-writer on that or a different. Anyway, I'm having a real weird old man moment.
It's okay. We all have them at this point in our lives, because the thing is, what I'm sort of pivoting to is at one point in this whole like entourage of, this barrage of studio work and touring with Vasco, you find the time to put together, the Steph Burns League.
Yeah.
Which becomes your first, is that your first solo project that would you say, or is it something that you started doing albums?
It was something that I wanted to, it became more of a band situation. Yeah, that's Juan and Paula. Juan van Emmerloot is a killer drummer, and my dear brother from Holland. He's lived around different places like Rotterdam, Amsterdam, and outside of those cities. And that's Paula Zadra. She's a bass player from Brescia, also here in North. There's Paula again. She's a great bass player. Look at that. I think is that the Lakeland or is that the Fender Jazz? I love that bass though, when she brings that out. So yeah, you may find time to do your stuff, absolutely. I wanted to, we work with someone like Vasco. He lately, especially lately, like the last 25 years, he likes to work just in the summer. So we'll do 8 to 10 weeks of work, and that's it. So I can do whatever I want with the rest of the year.
Play, yeah.
So I make other bands. I do other projects. I have a fusion band with 3 other Italian guys. We play around maybe once a year. We get together. Stef Burns League, we used to do 3 tours a year. We could do something in the spring, summer, and winter, something like that. That was my second album, World Universe Infinity. And that's when kind of the beginning of what was to become the Stef Burns League. This is half instrumental and half sung. I started to sing on my record. And it was kind of difficult. I sang a couple of them okay, and the rest of them were like, man, I'm just trying to figure out what you do. Like find your key, I'm always in the wrong key. I'm too low or singing something too high. Then the next record, I started to get the hang of it a little better.
Did you adjust with the tuning, or did you end up using a capo, or did you just say, fuck it, I want to start singing in the right key?
No, it was just about choosing the key, right? And singing like too low and thinking that it's cool to sound. And I'm not, I wish, but I'm not Iggy Pop. And I can't sing cool down low. I just sounded like a guy that's singing too low. So, so I found my range and style a little bit better on the following album, which is called Roots and Wings. And that's, I still a couple of instrumentals on there, but the rest was, and my first record, the Swamp Tea, that was all instrumental. That was back in the 90s.
So you went for a legit solo Stef Burns album, just music. Let the music do the talking.
Yeah, it was really, there was some Joe Satriani, Lukather kind of influence stuff on my first record. I just wanted to play melodic rock, jazz, fusion, guitar, whatever. And then went on to do a half and half on the second record, and then went all out. And then now Heroes and Monsters. But I'll let you guys.
And this is where I'm going with it, because you are listening, folks, to the In the Trenches podcast with Ryan Roxie. I'm your host, Ryan Roxie. I'm here with Stef Burns, guitarist. If you are just tuning in right now, please hit that subscribe button on the @Ryan Roxie official YouTube channel, because we could always use more eyeballs. And tell a friend, tell an enemy to check out all this and more episodes, because part of the reason I try to hype up as much music, guitar-driven music as possible, as I'm trying to carry the torch, pass it on to you, inspire you to play guitar. One thing I noticed is that with your Stef Burns League, that's a trio. With Vasco, how many pieces? It seems to me like it would be a large lineup. How many musicians are in the Vasco lineup?
It's about 10. I mean, we just added 3 horns last year.
Okay. So that being said, somewhere in the middle, Alice Cooper lies somewhere in the middle. Do you have a sweet spot? Because again, that sort of similarities that we have. The first solo band I put together, when I feel like it was, really together, was a trio. I had a power trio called Dad's Porno Mag, and then I expanded it to a 4-piece with Roxie 77, and but I do like that trio feel, that trio, the power of the power trio. Do you have a sweet spot of band members, or do you just like to sort of go through all different types of lineups?
No, I like the trio. I mean, it brings me back to Hendrix, and then. And so you're free as a guitarist, and not only that, but even bands that maybe had a singer, but they're still a trio behind them, like The Who, like Zeppelin, like Van Halen. So especially on the first record, and even later on, when you wouldn't want to overdub a rhythm guitar or overdub his solo, he plays the solo live, and there's no guitar behind it, and that's the sound. It's a guitar soloing over bass and drums. I get off on that. Then when you want to make a record like Heroes and Monsters, what we were going to talk about, sometimes it's like, that would be fun to have a second guitar player in that band. That would be.
Well, we're going to talk about that because the thing is how I see the connection. The drummer, Will Hunt, who's played with Evanescence for years, and also plays, you said, also played with Vasco.
Yeah.
And,
that's what we met.
That was where the connection came. But how did the idea of teaming up with not just Will, but In the Trenches alumni, he's been on the podcast, we love him, Todd Kerns, bassist, amazing, also plays with Slash's solo band. How did that whole thing come about, creating Heroes and Monsters?
It basically, when me and Will hit it off, playing with Vasco, and we thought, hey man, that would be really cool to put a band together or something. What we started to do was play in a cover band with the great Claudio Golinelli, Gallo, on bass, and we were playing around Italy. So we started to have a lot of fun with that. And then we got, as we were thinking about putting this together, Frontiers offered to put out the record. And so at that point, we started looking for a singer. And Todd's name came up, both through a friend of mine in Italy, Mauro Pilotti, and also from Will, who had talked about him when both we said, oh man, we got to check this guy out. And I thought, wow, he'd be the perfect dude, because we need a bass player that's musical, and we need a guy that can sing his ass off, and this got a great range, and he can write, and he can play, and he played all the shit live. Like, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was, we put together this record in the end during the pandemic. So we're sending files back and forth. We hadn't even been able to play together. And then when we got to play together, it was like, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe how good Todd is. And Will is a force of nature, and I already knew that. So I was just like, okay, he's a sure thing. He's going to be putting on a show back there and holding the whole thing down. He's kind of like the captain of the ship.
What I enjoyed about that album is that there is such a spectrum to the music. And that's kind of what I grew up in, with all the influences in the Bay Area, all the bands, all the influences that you played with, grew up with. There seems to be some heaviness to it, but then it can go to a Jellyfish type of pop, Beatley pop. So, and of course,
look at that picture.
Just put up a picture of, how does Will Ferrell, you know what, Will Ferrell might have that shirt, but that's like one of those cheesy commercial ones. He doesn't have a Ryan Roxie silkscreen Pablo shirt on.
No, I think that someone in the wardrobe at the movie studio found that for him.
Wear this, yeah. He didn't blood, sweat, and tears for this one.
No, you got the real one right there.
Speaking of some band members in Heroes and Monsters, we have a special question from Todd Kerns. And guess what? Yeah, because we were talking about bassists in your trio solo bands, and Heroes and Monsters being another trio currently, because you did say that maybe another guitar player would be kind of cool. And hey, I'm up here in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm just hanging out. I don't know. I'm just chilling in Europe. I don't know. But here's the question from Todd Kerns. Dear Steph, besides Paul McCartney, Sting, Geddy Lee, Phil Lynott, or is it Phil Lynott or Phil Lynott?
I call him Lynott.
But I think you might be right. I actually just the other day, because for the radio show, I wanted to pronounce his name right, so I went onto YouTube and heard him say it, and I forgot the way he pronounced it. But Phil Lynott, maybe it is Lynott. Okay. Gene Simmons, Benjamin Orr. Oh, I love Ben Orr from the Cars. I said his name too. Doug Pinnick, Roger Waters, Glenn Hughes, Lemmy, Peter Steele, Tom Araya, Jack Bruce, and Les Claypool. Who's your favorite singing bass player?
Oh, let me think. Okay, besides all those guys,
should I run through the list again?
There's a guy from Canada, And he's taller than he is in that picture right there, and his name is Todd Kerns. It's my
Is it
favorite.
even possible to be taller than in that picture? Yes, Todd Kearns, you are the Stef Burns' favorite singing bass player out of a plethora of singing guitar players. Did you put Lemmy in there? Did he forget? Oh yeah, no, Lemmy's in there.
Lemmy out, yeah. He put Sting and he put McCartney.
Can we think of one more?
Well, Jaco Pastorius did sing a couple of things, but he's not a great singer. I think he sang East River from Weather Report.
Jack Bruce. I'm racking my brain right now. I'm going almost north. I've gone out of Los Angeles bands. I'm going to New York bands. So which sort of new wave bands? But he got the Cars. He got Ben Orr. That was a good one.
Yeah, he nailed. Todd is like an encyclopedia of stuff like that too. He's so fun to talk to about that stuff.
Damn it. There has to be another.
Chuck Garrick.
Chuck Garrick from Bisto Blanco. He was always there. He was right before my eyes. But you know what? In Bisto Blanco, he plays guitar, so that doesn't count.
Oh,
or does it?
Bass player.
You know.
Okay. Yeah. So that
he is a singing bass player because he sings his ass off in the Alice Cooper band. But when he plays in Bisto Blanco, he plays guitar. So yeah, there is a little.
Wait a minute. I got one. Kip Winger.
Kip Winger. You're right. You're right.
Who is an Alice Cooper alumni?
That's right. Kip Winger. How did you not make Todd Kearns' list? This is going to be on bravewords.com tomorrow. It's instant fucking controversy on the In the Trenches podcast. Don't forget, you heard it first. Todd Kearns did not mention Kip Winger on this list of bass players. Oh, how could you?
Kip is a beast and a great musician. So
he really is. You know what? He would have been pretty much top 3 on my list. Yeah. I mean, if I had a list, I'm just saying, Todd, I don't know why you hate Kip, but there's Stef Burns. This is
Kip Winger.
This is the time Steph sees Kip Winger. This is from the perspective of Kip Winger looking at the photo, and there's Todd being protected in the back by his 2 band members, Heroes and Monsters. I don't know which one's the hero and which one's the monster, but damn it, Todd, you're on a list now, apparently from Kip. Kip has you on his list. Do you like the way we just create controversy? I love it. Let me see. I mean, this is another question. I think it's very relevant, but it's also, before I ask it, we always have a fan of the week. And I think it's important to list that fan of the week right now because, you know what? Italy, Greece, they're kind of close. It's all Southern Europe. We love Greece. And our fan of the week this week comes from Greece. Hit it, Vic. Kostas Savas. No picture of Kostas. Okay, Vic. No problem, buddy. Oh, don't worry. He's laughing, our producer. There he is. Kostas. Yeah. Steph, you've probably never met anybody in Greece named Kostas before, but guess what?
There's nobody in Greece named. It's really a rare name in Greece, Kostas. You know.
Kostas really helped us out. I was there a few weeks ago in Greece, and he is our fan of the week. Anybody that helps out the podcast, helps out the RGA, which is the Roxie Guitar Army, and honestly helps out this show, which you could do right now by helping out, first subscribing to the YouTube channel, and then put out the post and forward the any sort of post we make about this episode out on your social media. You could be the next fan of the week on the In the Trenches podcast. Thank you, Kostas. You did really good work this week. Thank you very much. So,
this way to go, man.
And then we have another question. Another question. You've always surrounded yourself with excellent musicians in your solo projects, because we've just been talking about whether it's the Stef Burns League or it's Heroes and Monsters. But who would be in the dream band if you could put one together?
You
got that dream band question.
That's a dream band right there. You got Ross Valerie on bass, Tim Gorman on keyboards, Kevin Chalfant, who is the other Chalfant that I know after Vic now, and in the middle, the great Prairie Prince on drums, and then some guy with torn jeans that has a.
I'm just trying to think about why Vic put this picture up. Is just because he actually downloaded it and wanted to put it up? He's just shaking his head.
I don't know. Maybe he's thinking about dream bands and stuff, because that was, playing with a guy from Journey and the Tubes at the same time. That was a fun band too. Billy Sheehan, and that's Juan Van Emmerloot again, a great drummer from Holland. We did a tour called The Power of Three once in Italy.
Wow. And you guys obviously all go back to that picture, Vic. You guys obviously all rode motorcycles.
Yes, we did. I still have that jacket though. It's not a real motorcycle.
I love it. So do you have sort of that dream band? I know that question probably gets bopped around a lot, but do you have?
I don't really have one. I don't really, but there was certain guys that was kind of a dream band. Huey Lewis and the News. That was a lot of fun. But I mean, sometimes I hear drummers that I really would love to play with. I could think of that, like Will Kennedy. I played with him a few times, and he's just one of my favorite drummers from the Bay Area. He's playing with the Yellow Jackets for 30 years or something now. And Vinny Colaiuta. Those are drummers that I've never played with. I mean, I played with Will, but not for a long time. Right. God, I don't really have that. I kind of feel like I have two dream bands right now, honestly. I know this sounds like ass kissing, but the Heroes and Monsters is a total dream band, as is Stef Burns League with Juan and Paula, and then on the heavy metal side, or hard rock and whatever we are, with Todd and Will. You just can't think of something different or better. People say, "Oh man, did you ever want to play with Jeff Beck?" No, I wanted to go to his concert. I didn't want to play with him. I want to listen to him,
Yeah. But it would be kind of cool to play some rhythm guitar for Jeff as well, because you are so versed at the rhythm now.
Maybe I sure wouldn't hate it, but at the same time, I don't know. I'd be distracted. I'd just want to be listening and not. I don't know. Maybe not. I have no idea.
I mean, I'll tell you that. And thank you very much, Ashley, for supporting us on this Happy Friday. Loving you as well. Yeah, I mean, for me, I had that sort of feeling jamming with the original Alice Cooper band, because there was a tour that we did across the UK where the original guys would come on at the end of the set, and I hung back and did Glenn Buxton's parts, but I had the best seat in the house to watch, Alice and Michael Bruce and Dennis Dunaway and Neil Smith all get together and have that original sound. So there is something special about that,
Yeah, I could imagine. I never did. I think a couple of times, a couple of those guys came and just said hi backstage, but I don't remember ever playing with them. Now, did you also play with Steve Hunter? Didn't he come back and play with you guys?
Yeah. I never toured with Steve Hunter, but Steve Hunter, I was able to jam with him a bunch of times on stage, and he was been on the podcast as well. So if anybody that's listening right now wants to check out the Steve Hunter interview that we did in the trenches, great interview, great guy, and just incredible guitar player. I mean, think about those guitar duos that we've had to sort of, not had to, but been given the chance to sort of pay tribute to and create those same parts. Hunter Wagner, Buxton, Bruce.
Yeah, incredible. And then, even before Alice, to go back to
Reason Burns.
The classics. And Kane, and who played along with Kane Roberts?
It was Kane. It was, Kane took so much, not that he takes up a lot of room. Well, he did back in those days. He just took up room physically, but I mean, his personality is so big. So he was telling me about a few of the rhythm guitar players that he played with, and he goes, "Yeah, I liked them. They're all good, just like you." But,
it's a New Yorker.
Fucking love Kane, man. Kane, if you're watching right now, you're part of the family as well. And everybody, it's time to start following, if you're not already, everything that is Steph Burns. So let's put up those social media links one more time, Vic Chalfant, because for those of you listening on the audio broadcast, Steph, if you could tell everybody the best way to get in touch with you and Heroes and Monsters and all things Steph Burns, please do so now.
That's it. Instagram there. I try to stay up on it. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty bad at social media stuff. You know, I just try to kind of be alive and do it. I sometimes have fun.
Oh, you're one of those guys that likes to live in the moment, really, and just not.
I don't like it. You know, I just like to pose for magazine covers. That's all I like.
As you should. Men's Health. You know what? We're going to go back to that photo in a second, but keep this on right here. So at Steph Burns Official on the Instagram, Steph Burns Official on Facebook. If you want to check out the newest project that Steph has going on with Todd Burns, with Todd Kearns, Todd Burns. Huh, that sounds like
Todd will hunt Steph Burns. Todd Kearns will hunt Steph Burns. That means that Todd's going to hunt me. Okay.
Wait. So what is it? Steph Burns will hunt Todd Kearns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kearns will hunt Todd Kearns. Steph Burns will hunt Todd Kearns. He will. You know what? And he will be right behind Kip Winger because Kip Winger isn't out for yet. We've gone so silly on this already, but you know what? I'm sorry, Kearns, that there's a hit on you out.
That's well, you know. Will Steph Burns will hunt because he needs to hunt, and he will hunt Todd Kearns. It sounds Dr. Seuss like.
It was. It's a little bit Dr. Seuss. I love it. Yeah. So, for us, we usually at this point in the set announce our next week's guest, but because I haven't confirmed anybody, and I don't know for sure if Vic, give me a thumbs up. Oh, you know what? We're gonna have
Will Ferrell. No, Pablo
is that
Cruz.
Will Hunt? Yeah, Steph Burns, Will Ferrell. Todd
Kearns. You can or Ted Hunt will follow away. Hey, you should have Pablo Cruz on the show, seeing that they have all these T-shirts and stuff.
I know this is one of one. This is not all these T-shirts. Now you're making me seem like a stalker, right now the guys in Pablo Cruz are setting up restraining orders on me.
No, I mean
the only one that should be setting up as restraining orders is Todd Kearns on fucking Kip Winger because he's after him for not mentioning him on that list.
That's right. You know, we should really help protect Kip Winger. We might want to set up a GoFundMe or something
for Kip Winger.
Yeah, to protect
get some help
from Todd Kearns.
Well, we just had Steph. Oh God, now I'm getting really confused.
Yeah.
We just had the guitarist from Winger on the podcast just a couple of weeks ago.
Red Beach.
Yes, who's also in Alice Cooper alumni. First guitar player I ever played with, because think about it, it could have been me and you, but you made that amazing choice to go play with Vasco, opening the door for me. So then it ended up becoming me and Reb. But you never know. If you would have said no, or if you would have said yes, maybe me and you could have been playing together.
That's right. Absolutely. It could have been that. And maybe it will in the future.
It might
be.
I'm
not dead yet.
And you know what? You did say Heroes and Monsters wants to be a quartet, not just a trio.
That's
Just saying.
And what do you think about having 4 guitar players in Alice Cooper's band?
Why not? The more, the merrier. Well, you know what? On certain nights, there's Red Beach. On certain nights, we do have 4 guitar players because there's the 3 guitar players that we have currently coming out on this next tour. The great Tommy Hendrickson. Go check out his band, Crossbone Scully, as well as the great Anita Strauss and myself, Ryan Roxie. So there's 3 of us, and then if we have a special guest guitar player, which usually is Ace Frehley for some reason, I don't know why, but he's usually our special guest guitar player. That makes 4.
There you go. I think I know why. Because he was in a very, very famous band.
He was. Yeah. Well, then if you really think about it, Chuck Garrick is kind of a guitar player now in Beast of Blancos. That's 5 guitar players that we have.
5 guitars, man. Let's make it 6. I'm coming into jam with y'all.
All right. Half dozen is not. Pretty soon we're going to get to Vasco levels of that point. And there's you jamming with Nita not that long ago. What band was that in, or was it a solo gig? Where's that photo come from?
This was the Stef Burns Nita Strauss project. No, I'm just kidding.
Is that another band that you had?
No, that was Glenn Sobel's thing with Steve at the
jam night. Yeah, you had it at the bowling alley.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. We there was also Tony McAlpine. We played together, and with the great Dave Ellefson on bass, and we played Paranoid, Black Sabbath, and we played Hey Stupid. And has this ever happened to you? Like maybe the first couple of times you played Hey Stupid, did you ever come back after that, Come On and Scream and the F sharp, and then play and sing a half step below?
Oh,
because you're resolving on the fifth, it's an F sharp, and
I know exactly what you're saying. But here's the crazy thing: no, for some reason, and it surprises me myself. I hit that note because it's one of those weird intervals, but I always seem to hit it. But we don't have to play the very first part of the song. We don't have to, because we start the song with the sample. And it's not on tape, folks. Trust me. We have like an old 1980s Doctor sample or something like that, where Glenn's drum tech, Michael, is amazing. He hits that button. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. It doesn't matter. But we always come into the hey, 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 and then everyone, the second we do the two hey, 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 hey's in a row, everyone always says "Hey, stupid" after the first "Hey, hey, hey." Okay. Did that ever happen to you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, after the hey. Oh yeah, no, because you have to wait for the Hey Alice to say "Hey, stupid" before we come in. I don't know why. Well, but what I do know is that in the middle of the song, after the bridge, this ain't your daddy talking, I know, and da da da. Come on in. Let's see. Come on.
Hey, you scream, hey, hey, hey. See, I even nailed it just now. I even nailed it right now. Didn't I? It was the right one.
You got it. I
think I did. Well,
okay.
We're almost done. Yeah. You know what? I think my wife has actually gone into Stef Burns' house and told him to get off as well.
That was a great picture, man.
Well, go back to the picture, Vic. Go ahead. You must have taken it. It must be a great picture.
Yeah, and her boyfriend. And there's the other singer that sings with the not Zepparella, but Iron Maidens, maybe. Isn't that her? I don't know.
You know what? Glenn's just smiling because he's finally in the middle of a photo. He's not in the end. So let me ask you this, Dave. If I remember correctly, Dave Ellefson. He great bass player. He sings as well, doesn't he?
Probably, but he didn't that night.
So just another guy Todd Kerns left off the list. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's right, Todd.
And that's the way we wrap it. Todd, you're in trouble. But everybody, thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. It's been a pleasure. You know what, Steph? I think next time that we talk together, hopefully it's somewhere over the road, and we're at some sort of festival, or our touring paths are crossing. But let's get together again, have another laugh, and talk some more. And in parting, do you have any advice, any closing words that maybe have been said to you that have helped you with your career, or words that you go to live by that help you on a day-to-day that could help our crowd out as well?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's for sure. Okay. For guitar players, I always say, practice rhythm guitar, like we talked about too. That's the key to it, locking in, playing good. But basically, take care of the stuff that you can take care of, and the rest of it, just let it go. That's all I got to say.
I love it, Steph. Take care of the things. Well, we've taken care of this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you. If that's the visual you want to go out on, Vic, that's fine.
Dressed in red velvet with balls of silver.
That is taking care of it all, baby. And everything else, you just let go. Until next time, folks, I am Ryan Roxie. This has been the In the Trenches podcast. Our special guest today was Stef Burns. Thanks to everyone that contributed, everyone that donated, everyone that's helped out with this episode. And guess what? Thanks most to Kip Winger not going after Todd Kearns. I'm just laying it out there right now. Love you all, folks. Until next time, I'm Ryan Roxie. This is the In the Trenches podcast. Enjoy the ride. See you guys. Thanks, man. Hang out.
In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.